breaking news. DC has officially found their brand new Kevin Feige. Apparently, it's producer Dan Lin in talks to take control of film, TV for superhero arm. The move will see DC Films president Walter Hamada exit. Now, that's the major thing. Comes as new Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav seeks to reset for the brand. Now, gonna say this, I didn't make a video on it, but most of y'all know that David Zaslav was incredibly frustrated when they canceled Batgirl, and he was incredibly frustrated with it. Just didn't seem like he had any control anymore once the Warner Bros. Discovery merger came in. Of course, I'm very happy with what David Zaslav has done, at least on the DC side. I'm a little concerned about things he's done for Warner Bros. In general, but overall, I've been pleased with David Zaslav's work. As somebody who grew up with DC, as somebody who loves DC, even during the time of Marvel's reign, they're tiring. Marvel's in control of film right now. Even during that time period, I'm still going to be a bigger DC fan, even though I love Marvel. I've always loved DC a little more. I even prefer Zack Snyder's DC over Marvel. I know that's unpopular, but I don't give a shit. But no, this is a major event. Now, Dan Lin, now I have this tweet right now. Now, I couldn't pull it up on my computer because for some reason, Twitter's not working for me on my computer. But I don't know much about producers, so I only know like the obvious ones, but apparently Dan Lin has produced the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes films, the Lego movie, the Lego Batman movie, Aladdin 2019, It Chapter 1 and 2, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Haunted Mansion. This is coming from Big Screen Leaks, so I hope y'all can read that. But that's not bad. That's a pretty extensive record. So it seems like he has a decent track record with, what he has so far, So it's going to be interesting to see if he can actually do that well with, because first of all, the Lego movies is what really catches me off, by surprise, because Dan Lin, the Lego movies, surprised everyone. Nobody expected that first Lego movie to do that well, but it shocked everyone. But we are going to read this article first and foremost, and I'm going to give y'all my perspective. But anyways, has the new head of DC been found? Dan Lin, the executive turned producer who counts hits such as the live-action Aladdin, Lego movie, and hit horror movies, is in talks to take the role of DC chief. Multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. The role encompasses not just overseeing films, but television as well, with Lin reportedly directing to Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav, according to sources. The structure bypasses these separate division heads. Warner Bros. Pictures Michael De Luca and Pam Abdi, HBO/HBO Max chief Cassie Bloys, and Warner Bros. TV chairs Channing Dungey, and puts control of DC in the hands of one person. Walter Hamada, so this is where the Walter Hamada stuff comes in. Walter Hamada, the current head of DC Films, will transition out of the role, according to sources. A Warner's insider says that no negotiations are taking place and no official offer has been made, although other sources say the talks are discussing salaries, reporting structures, and the future of Lin's expansive production company's ride back. If any deal does close, it would cap off months of one of the most intense executive searches in recent memories, one that faced scrutiny by rival Hollywood producers and executives and as well DC fans. Zaslav has said he was searching for Warner's own version of Kevin Feige, the famed Marvel executive who has steered the rival comic book company's movies and then later its TV portfolio into the multi-billion-dollar pop culture juggernaut that is nigh impossible to ask. But it didn't stop executive names from surfacing. Emma Watts proved to be an early contender, while in recent months names such as Amy Pascal, Matt Tolmach, Sean Bailey, and Greg Berlanti were by the way, thank God they didn't have Greg Berlanti. I'm sorry, but the CW went to shit after like halfway through the Flash series, and all they had was Arrow and Flash with incredibly terrible shows like Supergirl, or well, I didn't watch Supergirl. I don't even know why I said that. But Batwoman and all those. So I'm glad they didn't choose Greg Berlanti. The only worry I have about this article is that Greg Berlanti was even in consideration to be DC head. And also CW shows are nothing compared to the movie division. But anyways, Lin's name rose late in the game, but he was champion of Warner's advisor Alan Horn the former Disney chair who ran Warner's as president and co in the aughts. It was during the later tenure that Lin worked for Horn, starting as a junior executive and rising to senior vice president of production. He struck on his own as a producer in 2008, but not before shepherding movies such as The Departed and 10,000 BC. He also oversaw the infamous and aborted Justice League feature. I like how they say aborted. Feature that would have been directed by George Miller. The 2007 to 2008 Writers Guild of America strike and tax credit complications were factors of its derailing. Hey, now he can be producer of a Justice League film, whether it's Zack Snyder or not. You'll still be in control of choosing whether that movie comes out or not. Or he chooses if there's future Justice League movies, which obviously they're gonna have to make Justice League movies eventually. You just can't have a DCEU without the Justice League. But anyways, Lin is a respected producer known for his smarts, and in a town full of hype and egos, his willingness to find experts on the fields that are not his forte. He has worked on franchises, the Robert Downey Jr. starring Sherlock Holmes movies, the 4 Lego movies, as well as widely successful 2-part adaptation of Stephen King's It. His resume ranges from big offerings such as billion-dollar grossing bright-colored Aladdin to intimate dramas such as the Oscar-nominated Two Popes. He's coming off an early August release of Universal's Joy Coy comedy Easter Sunday. That's not a flex, but okay. He also has TV experience, a key factor for the new position. Lin and his company executive produced the Lethal Weapon show that aired for 3 seasons on Fox and Walker, the reboot of Walker, Texas Ranger, that will begin its 3rd season on the CW this fall. He and his company are in post-production on the ambiguous big-budget live-action series take on Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. Lin has also showed ambitions beyond the Hollywood screen. His banner, Ride Back, has a non-profit arm and several initiatives and fellowships that aid BIPOC. I don't know what that means. Wait, let me actually search it up. What's BIPOC? Sorry, guys. Let me actually search. I don't know what that means. BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. Oh, okay. So I guess he's very diverse. All right. And rising entrepreneurs. It is unclear that would happen to Ride Back, but one scenario, according to sources, is that Warner Bros. Discovery would take some sort of stake in the company. Ride Back would also continue to operate as a production entity and be run by current president Jonathan Ayrick. If Lin takes over, he will replace Hamada. Well, that's kind of obvious. Who joined DC in 2018, a time when the brand was looking to reset after Justice League 2017 bombed. Hamada, who had a reputation as an amiable collaborator, kept a much lower profile than Marvel's Feige, who was very much the face of the franchise. Though rival Marvel Studios has a closely connected universe, DC under Hamada explored some stories that took place in separate universes, including the $1 billion grossing Oscar-winning Joker 2019 and the Matt Reeves' The Batman 2022, which brought a $769.2 million globally. Sequels to both are in works. Hamada built relationships with talents such as Marvel's favorite James Gunn, who directed Suicide Squad and created HBO Max spin-off Peacemaker, and has had other projects and developments at DC. However, Hamada's tenure also underscored the public pressures that come with leading DC. For the past 2 years, Hamada has found himself the subject of critical tweets from Justice League actor Ray Fisher, which put the executive in an unusual position of a running film division. While being publicly criticized by one of its stars. In the summer of 2020, Fisher accused filmmaker Joss Whedon of abusive and unprofessional behavior on the set of 2017's reshoots for Justice League, which Whedon oversaw after director Zack Snyder departed. Though Hamada was not at DC during the production of Justice League, Fisher accused the executive of attempting to throw Whedon as well as producer John Berg under the bus in order to protect Jeff Johns. Another Justice League producer, Fisher said, enabled Whedon. Hamada was gearing up to release 3 or 4 films a year between theaters and HBO Max when the Warner Bros. Discovery merger occurred. Some see this exit as coming only partway through his DC course correct, while other observers believe he did not get enough internal support from the previous AT&T regime. Lin would like to join DC at a time in which Zaslav has vowed to reshape DC with a 10-year plan he hopes will allow the brand to compete with Disney-owned Marvel Studios, which has built the biggest film franchise in history. We've done a reset. We think we can build a much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC, said Zaslav in an earnings call August 4th, just 2 days after he scrapped the $90 million HBO Max Batgirl film that Hamada present over. As part of that, we are going to focus on quality. We are not going to release any film before it's ready. DC is something we can make better. Aaron Couch contributed to the story. All right. So that confirms that Dan Lin is coming in to control DC in both movies and TV. And of course, that obviously means Walter Hamada is out the door. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. That's basically what that means. You guys know, again, I already brought it up. I'm a major DC fan. DC is the property I care about most. And what I've always wanted for DC is have the faith. Have somebody take over and let's lead with that guy. Have that guy make a plan. And with that plan, we carry on the DC universe. Whether it's making Batman movies, Superman movies, Green Lantern, and then eventually leading to a Justice League movie, getting us the big events. That's what I want. That's what Marvel does. You know, not their movies specifically, but I'm saying like the fact that they have a coherent cinematic universe is what I want DC. Because what I've not liked about DC, I love the Joker movie. I love the Batman movie. And I love a lot of the DCU movies. Like, I really enjoyed Aquaman. I really enjoyed Shazam. Heck, I even liked Birds of Prey. I love the Suicide Squad. I love what DC's doing individually. But that's not going to work in the long run. Because, you know, eventually people are not going to care anymore. They're going to... I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important thing is make a good movie individually. Have that movie be good. And then hopefully get the trifecta. Get good money in the box office, get good reviews from critics, and then get good reviews from fans. That's usually the trifecta you're leading to. But overall, as a cinematic universe, your goal is to get people so invested on the DCEU that they just go into DC movies without even bothering to care about who the character is and all that. That's what Marvel has successfully done with Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige, for over a decade, has worked and slowly developed Marvel into being this big juggernaut that it is now. And now, doesn't matter who the fuck the character is, whether it's Shang-Chi, Eternals, whoever. At the end of the day, people are going to go watch these movies just because they're Marvel, because Kevin Feige has gained the trust of the audience to the point where now people don't care. People don't care anymore. They're just going to watch it because it's Marvel, because they've been so invested in the cinematic universe that now they just trust it enough to just go watch these movies. They trust it. Even Phase 4, which is largely the most criticized phase in the entire MCU, even this phase is pulling in really good numbers, even though most people have been saying that this has been the weakest of the entire phases. It's still pulling numbers because Kevin Feige gained that trust. DC, whether you're a Snyder fan or not, has not gained that trust. And that's what I've wanted for DC. I need that guy in the chair, because ever since Green Lantern, let's say Green Lantern, which came out 2012, right? 2013, somewhere around there. Ever since 2011, actually, I think it was 2011. Ever since Green Lantern released, it never felt like DC ever had any trust. Because this is what Kevin Feige did. Kevin Feige built the universe slowly by slowly. In fact, if you go look at the statistics, the first couple of DCEU movies made far more than the first couple of MCU movies. And this includes Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League, all these movies. They made a little more. And DC panicked quickly. While with Marvel, however, they made Iron Man, they made Thor, they made Captain America, they made the Incredible Hulk. You know, there were some missteps along the way, but they trusted, and look what happened. Eventually, they built up to Endgame, the second highest grossing movie of all time, with lots of billion-dollar hits with Captain Marvel, Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of these big juggernaut movies that made $1 billion, because Marvel gained that trust. And DC doesn't have that right now. DC right now is kind of seen as the little brother to Marvel. And DC should never be seen that way. Growing up reading the comics, DC was always seen as superior. DC was always known to be more iconic because they had the iconic Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and the cultural zeitgeist. DC characters have always been more popular, so it feels like a little bit of embarrassment that right now Marvel's just lapping DC. Even at the recent Comic-Con, DC came in with the Shazam trailer, Black Adam trailer, then that's it. But Marvel came in saying, you know what, we're going to announce 2 Avengers movies. Fantastic Four movie is coming out soon. We have all these movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania trailer, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailer, all these Disney Plus shows are coming, Daredevil, all this, and then here you go, Black Panther trailer. Marvel dominates DC. Because Kevin Feige had a plan from the very beginning and they trusted him to complete his plan. Even with Zack Snyder. Look, Zack Snyder got treated like shit. They forced him to make BVS into a, look, let's tease the Justice League movie, yay, and just quickly put the Justice League in. And then after that, when Zack Snyder was doing what he was told to do, eventually when he went to make his Justice League movie, you know what they did? They used the passing away of his daughter to go ahead, grab his movie, mesh it up to something weirdly, and then now they have to pay for it. Because they didn't trust anyone. If they had at least trusted from the beginning, what they should do is get a producer, get filmmakers, get writers, get everything, and just plan out. Be like, hey, look, let's start off slow. We have a Superman movie here. We have a Batman movie. And then throughout the time, just slowly build up to a upcoming Justice League movie. Or what you could do is a couple movies, then Justice League. Like, you could have still done that, but you just needed a plan. You got to understand, you got to make individual good movies. And then that's when the money comes in. Marvel is the biggest cultural zeitgeist right now because of the planning, because they understood it was going to take time. They weren't going to get success immediately. In fact, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the first billion-dollar Marvel film in the MCU was the Avengers, which came out in 2012. The MCU began in 2008. That's quite a time period right there. But they kept faith in Kevin Feige, and eventually they won. And that's what DC needs right now. A Dan Lin, who has a pretty good track record. The It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 movies were successful. The Lego movies were successful. All these other movies. Aladdin was a $1 billion hit. Although, let's be honest, an Aladdin movie is going to make $1 billion regardless. But it's right there. And Hamada, now, I don't know. Hamada never really got full control, to be fair. But Hamada, it seemed like he really wanted to separate the DCEU. Because I believe he was trying to do this crisis on it. He was going to build up to a crisis movie with all these multiverses. You could tell DC heavily wanted to do multiverse. It seemed like they wanted to make Michael Keaton the main DCEU Batman, while you also have Matt Reeves Batman. No, enough of that. As much Batman and Joker, you can do standalone movies with them, but besides those, you got to build a DCU. Fuck having these standalone universes. It's not going to build to anything. Eventually, you're just going to isolate people because they're going to be like, wait a minute. Why is there 3 Batman here? Why is there 5 Superman there? Why is there 2 Jokers? You're going to lose them. You're going to confuse them. I mean, literally, we almost, in 1 year, had Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Robert Pattinson, Batmans. And all, it's just so much, man. It's so much. Slow down. Take a chill pill. Let's focus on the DCU. And hey, like right now, if Marvel was to do a standalone cinematic universe of X-Men, like, let's say they don't put the X-Men in the MCU, but they make a standalone universe for X-Men, they can, because they haven't confused the audience that much. Because all of it has been in one universe, and it's gained the success that they gained far more success than they ever even imagined. So it's good to hear that right now, David Zaslav is pulling up his big boy pants, and he's going to bring the DC back again. Make DC great again. Bring DC to its glory days, because there's no fucking reasons why DC should be in the position it is with all these iconic characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then an entire catalog of amazing, well-written characters. You should never have to be in the position that you are right now. And I'm so glad that David Zaslav right now has proven to me time and time again that he is serious. He's serious about this. He's no longer going to just treat DC as this quick joke, as this side profit. He's going to see it as the main to-go-to profit. The things he said in the past, saying how DC needs to focus on a cinematic universe and how DC needs to bring back the focus on Superman. Because there is no reason why Superman should be mistreated the way that he's been for the last decade. There is absolutely no reason. If the last couple of Superman cameos have been without his face, then that's already an embarrassment. And DC should know better. And that's why I'm glad that Dave Zaslav has came in, has taken charge, and he's seen, holy crap, we're in a mess. Let's fix it. That's what a good coach does. A good coach goes to his team and sees, what are the problems? Let's take out those problems. All right, now the good parts that we have, let's hold on to that and let's add more good, and then have a plan for the long run. Any company, you got to have a plan for the long run. Whether it's sports, whether it's movies, whether it's just owning a small business, you got to have a plan on the long run. Because if you don't, it's going to hurt you in the end. And that's kind of where DC was kind of leading to, where you're just making individual movies. Even the DCEU movies felt separate. Shazam felt a little separate to Aquaman. Aquaman felt a little separate to the Suicide Squad. Heck, I don't even know if Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad are in the same cinematic universe. Of course they are, but they felt a little isolated from one another. That's the thing that frustrates me. You can't do that anymore. Eventually you lose the audience. Even some hardcore DC fans have avoided watching DC movies because they just don't trust DC. But I'm glad David Zaslav came in and said DC needs some fixing. And this is the proof. Him seeing that Batgirl movie. Sorry, I almost said Batman. That Batgirl movie, seeing how it was negatively received, it wasn't loved that much, and they weren't going to make money off of it. He said, hey, you know what? Let's bite the bullet. Let's bite the bullet. There's no point in releasing it. So let's just take that and just hold on. Put it in this lock safe. There. Boom. Problem solved. The Batgirl move has proved how intelligent he is. Of course, right now that's only half the work. The main work is now focusing on the movies itself. Sure, you're good at erasing the stuff we don't need. But now let's focus on building the things we do need. And to see that he's not just going to suck up and say, hey, I guess let's just let Hamada run things the way he has. No, he has said, you know what, Hamada, you haven't done a good job. You're just not the man for the job. Not saying that you're not a good producer. We're just saying, hey, it's just not working out. Bye-bye. It's like dating a hot girl that you just don't feel chemistry with. Doesn't mean that she's bad. It just means you two are not as connected. So you know what? Just mutually break up and then boom, bye. Thank you for the great time, but let's go see other people. And he's gone, Dan Lin, a guy with a good track record. And I said, Dan Lin, we need somebody to take care of not just DC movies, but DC TV. Because that's another thing I've had. Why is DC TV and movies feel so separate? The CW verse and the DCEU, it just always felt so weird and separate. Why the heck do we have 9 seasons of The Flash, but yet we can't even have a decent Superman movie in the last decade? The fact that we haven't had a Superman movie in the last decade is embarrassing. I don't give a shit if it's Henry Cavill or not. The fact that we don't have a Superman movie in the last decade, that's an embarrassment. He is the ideal superhero. Everyone knows that S symbol. Everyone, even a person who's never picked up a comic can tell you who Superman is. And yet you're just going to sideline him like that? That's a fucking embarrassment. That is genuinely an embarrassment. And I'm so glad David Zaslav is coming in saying things got to change. As a DC fan who's been a hardcore DC fan who has been made fun of by tons of Marvel fans, I'm so glad that David Zaslav is doing the things he's doing. He's bringing in changes because, hey, if you want things to improve, you got to change things. Sure, it's a risk. However, it can serve you in the long run. And at least, even if DC fails, let's say DC fails, at least we can at least say David Zaslav tried. Because let's say DC failed with Hamada without removing the Batgirl movie, then we would have just been like, oh, okay, David Zaslav clearly doesn't give a shit. You just let DC do its own thing. And also, DC movies is now going to be its own studio. It's not just going to be this little Warner Bros. Thing that they just toss around and hope it makes money. No, now it's going to be its own studio. I mean, yes, it's under Warner Bros., but it's going to be its own studio focusing on its own movies, focusing on movies and TVs, and having one guy control it all. And hopefully that guy brings in a good team of writers. I mean, if Dan Lin was able to make a Lego movie successful, imagine what he can do with some of the most popular characters and all fiction. So that's why Dan Lin has my trust. Oh, crap. My Captain America helmet fell. But no, I'm on board. I'm on board. I can tell you this right now. I don't think I've been this happy as a DC fan since, I mean, when the Batgirl movie got canceled, I guess I felt a little happy. But I don't think I felt this proud of being a DC fan since DC Fandom 2020. Which was the last time I ever felt any pride of being a DC fan. Even when the Snyder Cut came out, like when individual movies are amazing and do really well, like the Batman did, the Suicide Squad didn't do well financially. But I feel pride, but not pride to be a DC fan. I just more feel pride that I enjoy this movie too. But no, that I'm proud that David Zaslav is moving this route. We're not going to see the effects of this in a year, 2 years, 3 years because the Flash, Aquaman, Black Adam, they were already pre-established. Sure, there's gonna be changes with those movies. Maybe they're gonna keep Ben Affleck as the main DCU Batman. But yeah, all my faith is in Dan Lin. Now the question is, what is Dan Lin gonna do? Because there is a big difference. He's not gonna have the creative control that Kevin Feige has, or he's probably is gonna have the creative control. We'll have to wait and see and find out, but he's not gonna have the clean slate Kevin Feige had, because Kevin Feige came in with a blank sheet of piece of paper. It could do whatever he wanted. Dan Lin does have right now to focus. All right, so we had BVS, we had all these movies, we have all these characters who are already established with their own individual movies. All right, now what do we do with that? So it's a little different from what Kevin Feige had, but we're going to have to wait and see and find out. Hopefully it's all good. And hey, he even has experience in doing a DC movie, which is of course the Lego Batman movie. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for being here in the Multiverse of Movies. You guys are more than welcome to let me know in the comment sections. Do you agree, disagree? Do you think this is a good move, bad move, whatever it is? Everyone's going to be talking about it. So I might as well talk about it as a big DC fan, as a hardcore DC fan. And yeah, you guys let us know in the comment section down below. What do you think? And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.